Listen, Scott, I don't really care where the pain comes from. Well, you have to, because your solution as an entrepreneur has a lot to do with the pain that they feel. And not every single visionary is creating the pain in the same way. The pain is what matters. What's up, everybody? This is Scott, and I want to talk about pain today. Now, last week we talked about consulting. Okay, last week we talked about the consulting as entrepreneurs. The pain that we solve for matters. The pain kind of manifests itself in different ways for different people. Visionaries are not going to always experience the pain the same. Okay? The pain game matters. It matters for us to recognize what we can solve for, because not all entrepreneurs are going to be able to operate in their giftedness in the same way, right? To materialize solutions in the same way. That's number one. Number two is that not everybody experiences pain in the same way. Here's how I articulate the pain that we solve for as entrepreneurs. Number one, visionary CEOs, thought leaders, authors, speakers, experts, business owners feel stuck. When they feel stuck, what happens is they get frustrated. Frustration is just like the early stages of that pain. But if we were to unpack it a little bit more, that frustration starts to build into resistance, a lack of desire to do things, a lack of motivation to get things done, to do the hard things that it's going to take to grow the business. And once that resistance starts to find its way in, then all of a sudden they start to create resentment. And that resentment is really interesting because as entrepreneurs, we don't expect resentment, right? We don't expect that the resentment is going to be there. And here's why. Why would they resent something? Like, what is it for them to resent? Like, why would they be so frustrated as a business owner, as a visionary, to resent something? And what are they really resenting? The thing that they've created. They're resenting actually their business. And unfortunately, they start to resent the people. And here's why. Here's why frustration leads to resistance, which leads to resentment. Because visionaries are really, really good. Entrepreneurs are really good at solving problems, but not all problems. They're solving a very specific problem. And then what they do is they say, I'm at the center of this problem. I need somebody to help me with my email. I hire a virtual assistant, or I hire an executive assistant, or I hire a secretary in some way. Great. Now I don't have to do any of that administrative mumbo jumbo. That problem is solved. They're solving that administrative problem. And then they think, man, I've got so many meetings. I haven't been generating enough leads. I need to somebody to help with marketing. So now I'm going to hire an agency or a consultant or buy a course. And now I've tied myself to my EA, and I've tied myself to a marketing agency. So now a marketing agency, they need content, right? I'm like, oh man, shoot, I forgot. I'm usually the one responsible for content. Oh, I don't want to give that up, so I have to add another thing to my plate. And now what they start to do is they build here and they start to tether themselves. I call it a hub and spoke organizational kind of model or a framework. Just like if you look at like the center of a bike, right? A bike wheel. That's a hub. They call that a hub. And from that hub, every spoke goes out to the rim. But the challenge is that all of those spokes are tied to that specific hub. What's the big deal? Doesn't that create strength? It creates limitation. Sure, like that hub and spoke model creates enough strength over time, but then it stops. It goes from a me-centered approach to a we. We have to decentralize it. Now, you might be like, listen, Scott, I don't really care where the pain comes from. Well, you have to, because your solution as an entrepreneur has a lot to do with the pain that they feel. And not every single visionary is creating the pain in the same way. Because if you said, well, I can decouple you, I can remove you out of marketing. Well, then maybe they're a great marketer. Like maybe you don't want to demote them from being the single most important gift or talent or skill that they bring to the organization. But you need to know that they are tied to everything. So what could you take away, right? What could you take away? Because what happens is as they start to build, they realize, crap, I can't get past, I don't have enough time on my calendar. I can't get past me, right? I can't generate enough content. I can't generate enough leads. I can't expand onto enough platforms. I can't start my own newsletter. I can't create my own offers. Everything, when they focus everything else that they can't focus on doesn't get done. And why doesn't it get done? It's because the people or the consultants or the agencies that they're tied to rely on them as the center point for all communication, for all content, for all ideas, for all implementation, strategy, belief, vision. And these are all weights. These weights actually weigh them down. So when we say visionaries feel like they're drowning, well, they don't feel like they're drowning. They're actually drowning. And the thing that they're drowning in is the things that they're not best at. They're not best at, X, Y, and Z. They might be great at A, B, and C. And that's for you to find out as an intrapreneur. That's why when we talk about the matchmaker, right? Some of you who are just with us for a little while, you don't know, the matchmaker is really simple, right? Back when you were in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, as you were learning to match shapes with the names of shapes, there would be a left-hand column in which you might have the square, the circle, the triangle, the diamond, and then the right-hand column was circle, diamond, square, triangle, and you had to draw a line from one to the next to match up the words with the shapes. Well, pains and solutions aren't any different. You have to identify, well, what are your core skill sets, right? What are you great at? Maybe you're a fantastic project manager. Maybe you are a baller at creating content. Maybe you can take somebody's idea and build a PDF, a lead magnet, a book, an ebook out of it. So that those are on one end or one side of your columns, your skill sets, your highest and best use as an intrapreneur. Because remember, intrapreneurs are coming in and they're commissioning, being the surrogate owner of the vision in their highest and best skills, talents, abilities, and implementing those to remove the visionary CEOs, the thought leaders, the speakers, the trainers from the day-to-day. So now all of a sudden, if I were to sever 5, 6, 8 of the spokes to the visionary, now they're freed up to do their highest and best good. That's why they feel like they're drowning. That's why that one thing, though it's a pain, it's not the pain for everything. But it does answer the question, man, why would they feel like they wanted to fire their whole team? Why would they feel so frustrated or resistant or resentful of the people on their team or of their business itself? It's because when you suffocate somebody's gift, when you suffocate their highest and their best contribution, not only to themselves, because it is a self-fulfilling, satisfying experience to express your gift and your talent, but also to the business, but not only to the business, also to the people that the business solves problems for. Now can you see why that aggravation exists? So the pain's real, the drowning feeling, right? We call it stuck. They feel stuck. They feel stuck because of the decisions that they made, because of the way they've organized their business. So all we're suggesting is that we're going to come in and we're going to cut all the ties that you have to everybody else and we're going to insert ourselves in there, right? And it's kind of like we've inserted ourselves in and we've just put your vision into our minds, into our hearts, and we commission. We go on mission with you to build the vision internally, to be you inside the organization so you can be you outside, building the brand, building the business, building the ministry, building the movement. But without knowing what their skills are, what their problems are on this side of the column, we will never be able to matchmake their problems with our talents and abilities. But that's where the pain comes from, right? They're frustrated. They feel resistant. They feel resentful of the business. They feel like they can't grow. They can't scale. It's all the same problem. They've maxed out themselves. They've probably maxed out the team or the consultants or the freelancers or the Fivers or the Upworkers that are working with them, all in the idea of growth. But it's actually prevented them from doing that. And this is why, as an entrepreneur, you have to recognize that I don't want to put this on everybody, but most of you, this is going to fit for you. You're not meant to help people who are just starting off unless that just starting off is a new business, a new market, a new offer that they're creating based off of a previous successful business, a previous successful offer, a previous successful venture. Because they're not maxed out. They can't feel the pain of disconnect from financial, from disconnect from operational, from disconnect from time freedom, unless they feel like they're barely keeping their head above water. So the pains are real. It's frustration. It's resentment. It's lack of growth. It's stagnation. It's a belief that the skill set of your team doesn't fit what you're trying to create. It's feel like you're missing out, a FOMO, fear of missing out from an opportunity to capitalize in the marketplace. You feel like you can't go fast enough. There's not enough speed. There's not enough bandwidth for your team. That's why Intrapreneurs. That's why we come in. We essentially set up ourselves at the center, and all we need is little shots, little dosages of vision from the visionary. Hey, here's the problems that I see. Which one is the highest priority for you? Oh, 1, 3, and 6. Don't worry about anything else. Great. Their wisdom is inserted. We take that download. We update the vision in our hearts, and then boom, it's time to go. These are the problems, the core issues that we have to solve for have everything to do with them being at the epicenter of everything and them wanting to exit the epicenter of that scenario, of that business, of that offer. Because if you work with visionaries, you know this to be so true. They don't want to keep their attention on one thing for too long. So find your place, map their problems with your skills, recognize the frustration that they have. You articulating that is going to be such a relief. It's the things that they think about. Nobody gets it like they get it. Nobody gets it now like you get it. Hope this helps. Pains matter. The gifts that you have, the talents that you have, map to their pains and make sure that you can lean into that, because the frustration, resentment that gets built has everything to do with fear of missing out, lack of actually organizing the business in a way that they can do it sustainably, giving them time freedom, and then building the business to grow and scale. You can't scale when one person's at the middle. It's a me to we transition, right? Me to we. If they're in a me, you have to go to we. You have to decentralize decision making. Only the true visionaries that know the pain, drowned under the weight of these things, will say yes. And that's exactly what you want. Because when you get the people who can still kind of hang, who can still kind of build with this model in place of hub and spoke, they're always going to get in your business. They're never going to allow for it truly to hold, because you'll relieve enough of their pain with your solution as an entrepreneur that they never let go. And they have to let go in order to get to that next level.